Microsoft isn't necessarily known for incredible runs with its Xbox hardware. The OG Xbox launched with tons of hype but didn't quite compete with Sony or Nintendo, while weighing enough to break your foot if it dropped. The Xbox One shot itself multiple times in the foot and took years to recover. The Xbox Series X and S started stronger but struggled to consistently deliver worthwhile exclusives, to say nothing of dropping hardware revenue. However, at one point, there was the Xbox 360. It was a magical time when Halo, Gears of War, and Forza had multiple follow-ups and extensive respect. Even before Microsoft slowed down on the exclusives and delved further into Kinect, the Xbox 360 generation offered some legendary releases. Here are our picks for the top 15 as of 2024. Grand Theft Auto 4. Going from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas to Grand Theft Auto 4 on a new generation of consoles wasn't easy for Rockstar. However, while the latter had its shortcomings, it's still a phenomenal entry in the series, with Niko Bellic's rise through crime showcased in grim, unrelenting fashion. Its improvements to character models and motion capture, the sheer amount of dialogue, the increased scale of Liberty City, and more, all made for an incredible sequel.
Ouch. Oh good. Great.
Yeah, fantastic.
Condemned: Criminal Origins. Though Silent Hill and Resident Evil were still well known at the time, this generation of gaming saw several relatively unknown horror contenders step up to the plate. Condemned: Criminal Origins is noteworthy for relying more on psychological scares, emphasizing brutal melee combat over firearms, and delivering a compelling mystery. Perhaps the biggest letdown is that it only ever got one sequel. Gears of War. The release of Gears of War is special, presenting the Xbox 360 with a venerable system seller early in its lifecycle and influencing cover shooters for many years, with very few coming close in quality. It also re-established Epic Games as a powerhouse for narrative shooters, which changed down the line for better or worse and pushed video game graphics to a whole new level. Being a fantastic game also didn't hurt either.
You good?
Yeah, but I got a problem. Something's wrong with this thing. It keeps jamming. See?
Sniper!
Alan Wake. Energizer product placement Remedy's Alan Wake signaled an unorthodox new direction for the action developer. Its darker themes mesh with a larger character focus as protagonist Alan Wake attempts to make sense of his wife's disappearance when vacationing in Bright Fall. The horror and meta-narrative elements also work in concert to deliver a unique third-person experience that sadly didn't see much. Nevertheless, it remains a classic and noteworthy exclusive for the Xbox 360 at the time. Max Payne 3. Developed by Rockstar Studios instead of Remedy like the first two games, Max Payne 3 features the same bullet time and hard-boiled action unique to the series. However, it shifts the action to Sao Paulo, Brazil for some tense new set pieces and adds a cover system and last stand for more gameplay options. Combined with the twisting narrative, it's a roller coaster from start to finish. Metro Last Light. It's not just that Metro Last Light is an excellent title on Xbox 360, but also one of the best first-person shooters ever made. Following Artyom's actions in Metro 2033, he's caught up in a massive conflict between factions, leading to tense stealth sequences and pitched firefights. The moral conflicts, interesting narrative twists, and gorgeous visuals only add to the compelling survival mechanics. Ninja Gaiden 2. Team Ninja's brutal revival of the Ninja Gaiden series garnered extensive accolades when it debuted on the original Xbox. Ninja Gaiden 2 would launch for the Xbox 360, and while not quite at its level of its predecessor, it still featured memorable action sequences, excellent combat, and tons of gore. Dismembered enemies that could keep fighting, killer new weapons, and stellar boss fights were just the bloody cherry on top. Halo 3 ODST. If you asked Halo fans back in the day what their favorite titles were, Halo 3 ODST may have resulted in some interesting rankings. Some considered it just behind Halo 3 thanks to its unique narrative perspective, emphasizing a group of orbital dropshock troopers in New Mombasa, and the gameplay twist from not controlling Master Chief. Others loved Firefight, and for good reason. Whether it may rank today, there's no denying that Halo 3 ODST mastered the standalone expansion experience before it even became a thing. Borderlands 2. The best narrative in the franchise, with bar none its best villain and best expansion. Borderlands 2 is an all-timer. It took everything that worked with the original through looting, shooting, and Vault Hunter customization, and amped it up while presenting memorable characters, fun bosses, and incredible missions. You could argue that its endgame required much DLC to flesh out, but it's a small criticism compared to the sheer quality of everything else. Forza Motorsport 4. The final Forza Motorsport title for Xbox 360, released during Microsoft's obsession with the Kinect, is one of the best to almost no surprise. Ignoring all the motion control mechanics, it delivered a great campaign, adding adaptive AI to keep players on their toes, and supported 16 players in online play, with 500 cars to choose from, 26 courses, and multiple event types. Forza Motorsport 4 proved once more why the series is such a pillar for Xbox. Dark Souls. What can you say about From Software's magnum opus that hasn't already been said? Demon Souls may have put it on the map, but Dark Souls is where the developer rose to prominence. The interconnected world design is still something to behold, while its combat and asynchronous multiplayer remain influential. Dark Souls is truly the Dark Souls of the genre, and as ridiculous as it sounds, there's no higher honor. Burnout Paradise. Of course, when talking about games that made developers famous, Burnout is impossible to ignore. Criterion Games saw success with Burnout 3 Takedown and Revenge, but Paradise threw an open world into the mix. You could explore and complete events at your own pace while still wrecking other cars and making sweet jumps. Meanwhile, Crash became Showtime, benefiting from a revamped damage model and incentivizing players to take different routes to win. If another Burnout title ever happens, it has a high bar to clear, thanks to Burnout Paradise. LA Noire. Despite the long development cycle and numerous delays, LA Noire delivered on its promise of a late 1940s detective game. It set new standards in facial animation, offered a compelling city to play around in, and provided a compelling investigation gameplay loop, from gathering evidence to interrogating suspects. While today's open-world titles may have a larger scale or more content, few can match LA Noire's charm and panache. Far Cry 2. Before the developer settled on its Skyrim with guns formula in Far Cry 3, it delivered Far Cry 2. The open-world sandbox introduced several unorthodox elements, from guns jamming to having to take malaria medicine to not pass out. The relatively loose but still intriguing narrative encouraged exploration, while the buddies mixed up the loner approach from the first Far Cry. All in all, Far Cry 2 did things differently, and did them well, even if it lacked crazy set pieces. Grand Theft Auto 5. With over 200 million copies sold across multiple generations, Grand Theft Auto 5 remains a gaming juggernaut. It's still amazing how it all began on Xbox 360 and how the hardware, such as it was at the time, could support such a massive, detailed world with extensive attention to detail and realistic NPCs. Nevertheless, even in terms of gameplay and narrative, GTA 5 ranks among the best games of all time, raising the bar significantly for the open-world genre. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.